Chapter 3 Problem Dog. Are you sure it's okay that you called out of work? Of course, man. You need me right now, Noah says. I needed a good distraction. I usually like being alone, but I really needed to just chill with you today. Noah gives me a friendly nudge. Dude, for real, today was a blast. And I get what you're saying, sometimes you just need a break from the same old grind. Noah's grin fades into a more serious expression as he looks at me, concern evident in his eyes. But hey, you've been through a lot in the last few days, and I understand you needed a solid distraction and just to have some fun. But we gotta go to the police with what you saw. The longer you wait, the more chance that the same person could do the same thing to someone else. We can't just sit around and wait for that. Please, you need to. I sit and stare at him thinking, knowing he's right. An uneasy pause grips us, shattered only by distant, mysterious noises. The air grows tense, filled with quiet rustling that escalates into a desperate cry for help. Noah looks at me and then looks ahead. Without hesitating, he runs as fast as he can toward it. A brief moment later, I join him, running, trying to keep up with his urgent and fast strides. We reach the alleyway where the noises are coming from. Noah, just up ahead, looks around for the noise as we continue to hear it but see nothing. Suddenly, Noah darts his head towards me and says, "Over here!" I pull him back, my gaze narrowing as I assess the scene. The air crackles with an unsettling energy, and a knot forms in the pit of my stomach. "Noah, let's be careful," I say. As we look forward, we see Henry lying by the bag of garbage, toppled over on its side, with garbage spilled all over. He's covered with bruises and his nose is bleeding, dripping off of him. Noah begins to rush towards him, seemingly ignoring who he is. I stay back, thinking of all the horrible things I've seen him do. I remain standing still until my body naturally moves on its own towards them like a magnet. "Hey Henry, you alright?" Noah says, leaning over his body. Grunts and moans come from him, but it seems as if he's barely conscious, only competent enough to acknowledge noise and sounds. "Do you think we should help him?" I ask. Noah looks at me annoyingly. "What are you talking about? He needs help, of course we should! This guy's done more heinous stuff in front of us than anybody else. Maybe we just let the cops take care of this. Let him get what he deserves," I say. "I just think it's important to consider this stuff to make a decision." "No. Even if he has done all this terrible stuff, it doesn't matter. Plus, what are we gonna do, huh? Leave him here? Beaten and bloody?" Noah says. "We need to get him to a hospital." I look down, shaking my head, disregarding what I had just thought before. Yeah, you're right. I don't know what I was thinking." Noah gets up and begins to dial 911, with his hand rubbing against the back of his neck, his straight hair and his comb-over getting messy from his panic. Each ring adds a moment of hesitation, one of suspense. Noah paces around slowly, then the ring comes once again. The world around me seemed to fade into a surreal haze, and the deafening silence after the gunshot was almost unbearable. Noah, who was turned away from me, now lies before my feet with a gaping hole in his forehead. Blood stains his face, and the vibrant spirit that defined him got extinguished in an instant. Shock holds me in its merciless grip, rendering me motionless and speechless. I can do nothing but listen to the sound of my own racing heart slowly returning to a normal pace. The reality of the situation sinking in like a heavy anchor. The man responsible, the one I had glimpsed the night before, emerges from the shadows. His cold, calculating eyes bore into me as he raises a pistol that still emits a faint wisp of smoke. The presence of the gun sends shivers down my spine.
"Now where's this fat fuck?"
He asks under his breath. He looks beyond him and finally finds Henry lying beneath him. The gunshot woke Henry up in a startle.
"Oh, there you are."
Without hesitation, he grabs him, and Henry begins to cry and weep, begging for his life. Purple sparks flicker around his hands, with his fingertips having streaks running up on them, and slight flaking with almost stone-like material on his wrist. In an instant, his head is dust, completely disintegrated.
Finally, I thought you'd never stop hanging out with them.
He says grudgingly. The phone on the ground plays a faint voice.
This is 911. What's your emergency?
A pause remains for a moment.
Hello? This is 911. What's your emergency?
The phone has landed right at his feet and redirected his focus. He walks over to it and crushes it with his boot, creating the glass to crunch underneath.
I guess we haven't been properly introduced. My name is Goro.
He says tiredly.
And you are one annoying piece of shit, you know that?
His words, sharper than a knife, cut through me with immense fear. His presence almost makes me want to run away, but here I sit, still motionless, unable to speak, only able to listen. He looks at me annoyingly.
You were really calling the police? It's like you're begging me to work harder than I need to. So damn annoying.
The flickering light of the street lamp shows me Noah in fragments, quick blips of the terror he has endured. I remain frozen, unable to tear my gaze away from the gruesome scene. His words pierce through the shock that has enveloped me, and I realize the depth of his deception. Noah had been a hero, a selfless soul who had fallen victim to Goro. Goro's eyes meet mine, shifting from a sinister smile to an unsettling certainty. It's as if he knows something more, a connection to something darker.
Gotta say though, this is way easier than I thought it'd be. You see your friend right there? Was the typical hero type. Easy to manipulate and force him to make a bad decision.
He blows out the steam coming from the gun and inches closer to Noah's lifeless body.
In the world of heroes and villains, the line between sacrifice and redemption gets a little fuzzy. It's like a moral maze that challenges our notions of good and evil. Heroes driven by an unshakable sense of duty and morality are ready to make big sacrifices for the greater good, even if it costs them personally.
Goro paces slowly around the body, waving the gun around and talking with it, almost feeling as if he is forgetting that I'm here.
They're a blend of kindness and bravery, making tough calls and shouldering the responsibility of safeguarding humanity. Love, relationships, or even their own lives may take a backseat because they believe the world's well-being is top priority. It's the hero's way.
What is he talking about? He's just going on and on. Does he even care? He took a life and he doesn't even blink twice? Who is he? The pain in my chest is growing more and more. My head is spinning.
He was weak, pathetic, too obsessed with the well-being of another that he'd throw away his own life for some fucking shit stain.
Goro retorts, his expression oozing with disgust. This pent-up tension, after hearing him go on and on, finally erupts.
What are you talking about? You killed him! He didn't throw his life away, you took it from him!
Goro paces forward, ignoring what I said, going right next to Noah's body, who's face down, blood filling and running all across the cracked, slick, slippery street of the alleyway.
You knew something didn't feel right. You warned him, but he didn't listen. At least you can think before you act, unlike this dumbass.
Suddenly, it becomes clear. I realize the depth of the darkness that surrounds me. Goro is not just a killer. He is a manipulator of minds, a destroyer of heroes, and a twisted force that revels in chaos. The pain in my chest is intensifying and a torrent of emotions welling up within me. Grief, guilt, anger, and disbelief swirl together in a chaotic storm. The air, my surroundings, the flickering light that won't stay on in the alleyway, Goro's slight pacing, each crumply step that scrapes the rocks against the concrete, the rats slightly chirping near the garbage cans, and even the flies buzzing around Noah's body. It's all overwhelming me. I don't know what to do.
I'm so confused and unsure about so many things. I can barely comprehend what's going on.
I pick my head up and look right at Goro.
But there is one thing I'm sure of. Noah was a hero. He was one of the best people I ever knew.
Goro's face radiates with repulsion.
You still don't get it, do you?
It doesn't matter to me whether I get it or not. What I do understand is this. You're an unhinged, homicidal maniac who's taken 3 lives in a single day and you don't even flinch!
Goro stares at me blankly, seemingly nothing going on, as if he has been closely articulating every word I've been saying, without wasting even a single second. While Goro stands there confused, I leap forward towards him. I see only him, so concentrated that nothing could bring me out of focus. I thrust towards him and punch him right in the face. His face wrinkles from my fist and the same feeling of energy surging through my arm and through my fist. He flails back, trying to keep his balance. Slowly, he gets his head up, wiping the blood from his lip, and gazes at me with a grin across his face.
You know, Kian, you just keep getting more interesting by the second.
He puts his hands in his pockets.
I'll let you get 2 minutes. I won't even fight back. Show me what you got.
I pause, not saying anything, but just giving a skeptical look. He stares at me, and I could almost hear his thoughts telling me to come over. He breaks the pause.
Looks like you're down 15 seconds already. Better make the most of this.
I snap back to reality and take his word for it. I charge towards him, throwing another punch, but he dodges it easily. I throw another, then another, and another. None of them are connecting. Each time he bobs and weaves, and I can see him from my peripheral smirking with that same devious look of his. He's so fast, so agile. Before I hit him easily. But if this is how fast he really is, then I don't have a chance. I don't get it. I don't understand. As I stand here, throwing punches that miss their mark, a profound sense of hopelessness begins to settle within me. Goro's evasive maneuvers, his mocking smirk, and his cruel words all chip away at the flicker of determination I had ignited. The realization that I couldn't even lay a finger on him sinks in, and a dark cloud of despair envelops me. Goro's laughter rings in my ears, mocking my feeble efforts. It's a cruel reminder of my helplessness, a reminder that I'm not cut out for this world of darkness and chaos. Defeated and broken, I stop in my tracks, my fist trembling with a mixture of anger and frustration. Goro stands there, still grinning, still in control. The flame I had lit within me has been extinguished, and all that's left is a hollow emptiness.
Alright, time's finished.
Goro takes his hands out of his pockets.
Now it's my turn.
Goro inches closer to me, taking each step slowly. Each footstep scraping against the concrete and hearing nothing but the small pieces of rubble and rocks beneath his feet. He bursts toward me with such swiftness that I can barely see him. He leaves a footmark engraved in the concrete, sending a big wave of wind my way. He appears in front of me. He hits me with a gut-wrenching uppercut to my stomach, sending me upwards, all the way up to the top of the building and landing on it. Never in my life did I think I could experience this much pain, this much power within someone. The pain from the punch is immense. I sit here on my knees, holding my stomach. Goro emerges to the top of the building, jumping with a single bound. He walks in a steady pace closer to my body that's aching with pain. My vision gets blurry and my head filled with such dizziness. I get back up slowly, wobbling around trying to find my balance. Goro throws another stomach-churning punch, making spit fly out of my mouth as his godlike fist holds my curled-up body upright as my feet catch my balance. With a seamless transition, he uses his left hand to clock my jaw, whiplash causing my head to jerk violently. Then a kick to the side of my ribs, left with the sound of a beating drum. A punch directly to my nose, making my nose start trickling with blood. His hands wound up at his sides, crashing down to both my ears at once, leaving me with a deafening ring in my ears. A headbutt straight to the forehead, causing my head to throb with pain.
This really all you got? Thought I'd get a challenge.
Goro says. His hand grasps my neck, and the purple flickering sparks fly around his hands. Is this really it? I never even got to live a life that I could truly enjoy. Why did this have to happen to me? I feel his fingernails dig into the flesh of my throat. I never asked for this. I've never caused any harm to anyone, yet I get this in return. His clutch over my throat pulls me up to the tips of my toes, gasping for air. The overwhelming thought is finally consuming me. Am I going to die? I start to feel my own skin buzzing and shifting, wrestling with its shape. The pain left me only with my own echoing screams on the rooftop and me crying for help.
Please, someone help. Help me, someone, anyone, please.
I cry. He grabs my face and clutches it like a basketball.
No one's coming to save you.
He kicks me to my knees.
Now let me get my job done.
Suddenly, a small flash of light lingered in the distance. I slowly peek my eyes through the gaps of Goro's grip on my face, dripping in blood, and there stood a figure. A man. This man is distant, hidden within the shadows, and steps forward slowly. Coming into the light, the man was missing his left arm, having drooped down black hair, going down just past his ears while slightly covering his eyes with a solemn look on his face. His loose black joggers shuffled with each step. Goro leers across at him, then back at me, pulling me close so he could speak in my ear.
Looks like your cry for help really did work. Too bad you just got another person killed.
He throws me to the ground and turns his body towards the man.
Look, I've got a lot to do, so I'll make this quick for you, alright? Don't want to make this too long for my set.
In an instant, the man reached Goro with him unable to react and barely any time to defend himself. The mysterious figure moved with a graciousness and wound up a sidekick and whipped it right at Goro's temple, knocking him sideways and stumbling. Goro, shocked and struggling to comprehend the situation, attempted to counter the mysterious figure's assault, but the man dodged. The man's movements were fluid and precise, a dance of power and finesse. The fight that ensued was a blur of motion and power. The man and Goro clashed in a spectacular display of martial skill and supernatural abilities. Goro's sparks of energy clashed with the man's relentlessness to give up. The mysterious man exhibited remarkable combat prowess. His strikes are calculated, landing with precision on Goro's body. Goro, on the other hand, was shocked by the figure's ability and technique. Goro quickly began to stop underestimating this man and threw his own devastating blows to him. With each exchange, the balance of power shifted further in favor of Goro. The man throws a roundhouse kick, and Goro finally catches the kick and flips the man onto his back. Goro was stunned.
Janus?
Goro's expression was consumed with confusion and wonder. The man, unfazed by this response, leaps towards me. He starts to put his hand forward, and a black aura outlined fuzzily with white energy forms around his hand, while a shift in the air begins to happen. A hole being cut right in front of my eyes, a portal. As the dimensional portal crackled to life, a cacophony of unearthly tones filled the air. It began with a deep, resonating hum, like the primal vibration of the universe itself. He grabbed me by the shirt beneath my hoodie and threw me through the portal. Everything seemed so unreal, no sound, no movement, nothing but crowded thoughts. And within mere moments, it was gone, appearing to another side through another end of this portal. Soon after came the man. He stood above me, almost making me feel belittled. I lay there, with a throbbing pain in my head and a slight ring in my ears, trying to comprehend everything that has happened. But it's overwhelming. I can't think anymore. A wave of exhaustion washes over me. The dizziness starts to fade in. The adrenaline leaves my body empty, with no energy left. I feel myself slipping. my eyelids feeling almost as heavy as the horrors I had witnessed. Everything is cultivating, consuming me with nothing but a fading blackness, and all of a sudden, the pain subsides. I feel nothing.